Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA video, I want to talk about the location and setting of Grand Theft Auto 6, as we've gotten obviously a lot of details over the last couple of days since the Bloomberg report came out. So I kind of want to talk about where we're headed, what Rockstar has done in the past, and what we can expect. So let's talk about what we know so far, and that is that Rockstar wanted to include large portions of North and South America, but had to be reeled in. So the original plans for the title, which was codenamed Project Americas, was for it to be bigger than any Grand Theft Auto game to date. And early designs called for the inclusion of territories modeled after large areas of North and South America. So we basically know that Project America has been scrapped. We might get it in some degree, and it might occur over time, as we'll talk about in a little bit, but it is not going to necessarily be this big grandiose project that we've all been thinking it was going to be, featuring all these different cities and all these different countries. It looks like it's definitely going to be reeled in. Instead, what it's going to be is fictionalized Miami that we know as Vice City and is going to update over time. The new game's map is now focused on a fictional version of Miami, which is Vice City, and its surrounding areas. Rockstar's plan is to continually update the game over time, adding new missions and cities on a regular basis, which leadership hopes will lead to less crunch during the game's final months. Still, the game's world remains large, with more interior locations than previous Grand Theft Auto games, affecting the timeline. Alright, so now let's focus on that. We are basically going to be going back to Vice City, and this is the first time that Rockstar has touched Vice City in the HD era. I don't know whether they're going to call it like the 4K era, whatever the case might be. The last time we saw Vice City was in the 3D era in GTA Vice City, when the game was being made for the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2. So needless to say, hardware has improved quite some bit since Rockstar gave us a fictionalized Miami. And GTA Vice City's Vice City is one of the smallest maps in the GTA universe. It's incredibly small. It doesn't feel that small once you're actually in it, but when you certainly compare it to other Grand Theft Auto maps, and definitely other Rockstar titles, it is extremely small, essentially consisting of 3 islands and basically no explorable area outside of the city. So we were very much limited to an extremely condensed version of Vice City. It didn't contain any of its surrounding areas. So now what I want to look at is what Vice City and its surrounding areas could look like. So obviously, starting at the bottom, we have a couple of big cities. We have Miami, which we know it's going to be based in. We've got Fort Lauderdale just to the north. Now to the south, that could be very interesting because you have Key West. It'll be very interesting to see if Rockstar gives us like these small set of islands off the shore. I feel like there's lots of things that they could do. To the west, you've also got the Everglades, and you've also got Cape Coral. That's where the likes of NASA and SpaceX launch a lot of their rockets. I can guarantee you that Rockstar would do something like that. A little bit more towards the north, you've got Tampa, St. Petersburg. In the middle of Florida, you've got Orlando, incredibly popular. You've got Jacksonville towards the north. And you've also got the state capital of Tallahassee near the Georgia border, and then Panama City towards the Alabama border. So you can see there's a lot of different areas that Rockstar could cover here. And there's also a ton of different landmarks and key areas. Just think of like Disney World, the rocket launches in Cape Coral. Just think of the expanded Vice City that we're going to be able to dive into. And I feel like that's kind of what we're going to be looking at right here, where we're going to have multiple cities over time. So the way it works in Grand Theft Auto 5 is San Andreas is supposed to be a visualization of California. So even though the majority of the game takes place in Los Santos, which is fictionalized Los Angeles, as we go further north, east, and west, we see things that are located in the way northern part of California, way over to the east, way over to the west a little bit. I can't really say too far over to the west since we basically be going in the Pacific Ocean, but you guys get the drift that Rockstar has added a lot of California in San Andreas, even though the majority of the game takes place in Los Santos. So I feel like that's exactly what Rockstar is going to do here. Miami or Vice City is going to be the hub, but there's going to be a ton of other, I'll call them smaller cities or additional cities throughout the surrounding areas. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Rockstar do this, how they will add these new cities over time. Will they just be an expansion as a part of the current map that we have, almost adding on to it? Or are they going to be separate cities that we would like have to fly to, like go to the airport going from Miami to Orlando or from Tallahassee to Tampa, something along those lines? I don't know how Rockstar is going to do it, but they're definitely going to introduce more cities as time goes on. Now, one thing that they also said they're going to do is they're going to have a ton of interiors. Now, the last game we saw Rockstar do this very well on was not a Grand Theft Auto game, but Red Dead Redemption 2. Pretty much every building you can go in there, and it has some sort of Easter egg or something to find or just something to do that makes the world feel way more realistic. We kind of saw that not in Grand Theft Auto 5, where it kind of sort of felt like a shell of itself, and even a lot of the interiors that were used, you couldn't go inside of them outside of the missions that they were used in, which really limited, in my opinion, how the world felt. GTA 4 did a pretty good job with things like internet cafes and car dealerships, so I want them to definitely go back to that. Now, even though Project Americas has been scrapped, it'll be interesting to see if Rockstar does go outside of the United States for the first time in a very long time. Obviously, we're close to a lot of tropical islands, Central, South America. As you guys also see there, Florida borders 2 states, Alabama and Georgia, and there's a lot of interesting places in both southern parts of Alabama and Georgia that could be incorporated into the cities and the surrounding areas as well. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how Rockstar ultimately handles this. And it also looks like Rockstar is going to do more than just add land. Alongside these new areas, there's going to be new missions as well, which means that they're not just going to give us, let's say, another city and say, have fun, go explore. There's going to be more things to do inside of that city, whether it's for our single player characters or whether this is merged into whatever they're going to call Grand Theft Auto 6's multiplayer, GTA Online 2, or something like that. But that is how I think the location, setting, and map of Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to work. It's going to be Florida and its surrounding areas, as I just showed you there. Certainly going to be an expansion of what Rockstar did in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Obviously, the game is going to come out on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, which is obviously leaps and bounds more powerful than the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2. So I honestly can't wait to see what Rockstar does with Vice City and its surrounding areas for the first time in the HD 4K era, and that gets me really excited. But obviously, I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Let me know how you think the map, location, and setting of GTA 6 is going to work in fictionalized Miami, which is going to be Vice City and its surrounding areas. Do you guys like this? Do you not like it? Let me know what you're thinking in those comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Rockstar Games videos that I'll be doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.